This is Afghanistan, a country free of democracy, equal rights, and Western values. Many of the people you saw in those videos protesting against Israel represent those kind of values. Afghanistan is a country where radical Islam won. Here you can see a map showing you countries where Islam is the main religion, where the majority of the population are Muslim. Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. This is mainly due to a much higher fertility rate in Muslim countries. And so, a Muslim family will have 3, 4, 10 children, whereas families that are not Muslim will have 1, 2 children, 3 max. This is the tendency. So far, Christianity is still number 1 religion in the world. You can see here that 31% of the population in the world identify themselves as Christian. And this is a very broad term. It includes Catholics, Protestants, other smaller groups that also call themselves Christian. It's basically more referring to a culture rather than people that profess Christianity. And here, of course, I would like to point out the very small number of Jews of the total population, 0.2%. And this number will not grow greatly in the far future. It will remain like this for a very long time. Here, for example, you see another chart showing you the growth of each religion. And it is clear here that the biggest growth will occur in the Muslim population. It will grow from 24% to 31% in the year 2060. That's the projection. And although Christianity grows, it grows much slower than the Muslim population. We can see it on this chart. And so Islam grows almost twice as fast as Christianity. And according to the projections we have, Islam will become the number 1 religion by the end of the 21st century. Of course, the biggest disruption will happen in Europe. You can say that Europe was built on the Judeo-Christian values. And so the countries that we know in Europe, such as France, England, Holland, Poland, those countries were always recognized as the culture of the Christians, the Western culture, so to say. And as you can see, Europe already has a significant Muslim population. That will just grow and grow faster and faster. And I think this graph shows it best. What you can see here are 2 colors. The green color represents the growth of the Muslims, and the gray color represents the growth in a specific region. So, if we look at Europe, we will see something very strange. The general population is decreasing in Europe, and so we have less and less people in Europe, while the Muslim population in Europe is growing. So it's a minus against a plus. That's why Europe will experience this shift of culture, of religion, the fastest. And it will be the most disrupt. Okay, but what does this have to do with Israel, the protests, October 7th, the Middle East conflict? Well, if you look at this map, first of all, you will see 2 things. Israel is a very small country compared to the countries that surround Israel. And Israel is the only country in the neighborhood that is not Muslim. That creates a lot of tensions. Islam as a religion began spreading through the military conflict. And although Christianity also spread through military conquest, especially through the Crusades, and this is I'm talking again about the general understanding of Christianity. But if we study the Bible, it is actually against using force to achieve something. Islam does not have these restrictions, and in fact, it is okay to conquer people, to make them slaves, even kill them if they are not Muslim. And of course, as with everything, there are extremes. Some Muslims, for example, would say, well, this is something we don't hold to, we're more liberal, and we don't want to kill people, we have moved on. But if you want to study the religious texts to the core, literally, then it is quite clear that Islam can spread and should use force to, let's say, evangelize unbelievers. And there were two very clear attempts in history where Islam tried to conquer Europe. The first one was stopped by Charles Martel. Charles Martel was a Frankish statesman, had a nickname the Hammer, and he was an important figure in stopping the Muslim invasion into Europe. He did that by defeating the Umayyad Caliphate at the Battle of Tours in 732 AD. And that was really a pivotal moment for Europe. If the Caliphate would win, perhaps today Europe would be much more Muslim. The second major attempt by Islam to conquer Europe by force was centuries later, and here we're talking about the Ottoman Empire. Sometimes we don't realize this, but the Ottoman Empire grew to a gigantic size, and it had a huge impact on the whole region in the Middle East and the Near East. But that wasn't enough for the Ottoman Empire, and at the peak of its strength, the Ottoman Empire also tried to conquer Europe. The forces of Europe were losing. Vienna was already sieged, and it looked like the Ottoman Empire will win. But again, they were stopped by another European king. This time it was King Jan III Sobieski of the Commonwealth of Poland and Lithuania. So those two attempts did not work, and Islam did not infiltrate European culture as much as it could have. Although, as we saw, it was very, very close. The third attempt that we can see in our day is a different type of conquest. Since 2015, we saw a huge increase in the migration of people from Muslim countries, and especially to countries that are the richest in Europe. So Germany, France, Great Britain, Austria, Sweden, and Italy. Now, of course, it's not a military conquest, but it wasn't legal either. Now, this was an uncontrolled migration with no ability to check the people that are coming, who they are, why they come, what is their motivation. And of course, some people that were coming were fleeing war, economic problems, civil unrests. That is true. But there was also a lot of people that were coming and using this as a way to enter Europe. And we of course see similar problems in the United States, but it's a little bit different because there are many different types of people coming into the United States that, for example, are not Muslim. The majority of people that come to Europe are from Muslim countries, period. It's not to say that the illegal migration in the United States is not problematic. It is, because it's creating other problems, but this is not the same type of clash that we see in Europe. And Europe currently is burning. And this is because Europe already has a much greater Muslim population than the United States. And soon, Europe will hit a critical mass that the European countries will not be able to stop. And a shift will be very, very dramatic. Islam, of course, is not just interested in the Western countries. It tries to spread also in the countries in Asia. And here, for example, you can see the population of Muslims in China, and you can see that the dark color is where they are the most numerous, but it's a little bit different in China. First of all, the region where the greatest percentage of Muslims are is the region that is the least populated, so there is the least people living there. And of course, China has a very different approach to religion than most Western countries. First of all, it's a communistic country, so religion really shouldn't exist. Well, it exists like a museum, you have exhibitions where you can see what's it like, but it should not really function according to the Chinese government. And the Chinese government is very harsh towards the Muslims that are living in China. We heard about all those controversies where they were put in concentration camps, even where they tried to make the Muslims stop believing and stuff. So China has a very different approach, but China is very strong on fighting back Islam in their country. Another country, Japan, has a very strict migration policy. And so if you're illegal, you're not coming into Japan. And actually, if we look at the projection, the Muslim population in Japan will decrease, not increase. Another country where we see huge tensions between religion is India. In India, the majority of the population is Hindu, but the Muslim population is growing fast. And of course, as expected, it creates a lot of tensions. If we look at Israel, you may not know, but 19% of Israelis are Muslim. So it's quite a big chunk of the population. Of course, the biggest chunk are Jews, then you have some Christians, some Druze, and other groups. But what is unique about Israel is that the birth rate of Jews is higher than the Muslims, which is quite incredible. This is, of course, mainly thanks to the ultra-Orthodox Jews that have a lot of children. But the population of Israel will also grow because of immigration from other countries. The Jewish people are citizens of the whole world, so as anti-Semitism will grow, it is expected that they will return to Israel. And soon, Europe and even America will not be safe for Jewish people. And Israel will become the only place where they can fight against the people that want to destroy them. And October 7th was really a big test for humanity. This is a test of nations, who they will stand with. We see what is happening around Europe. People are already so influenced by the Muslim culture, by Islam, that they choose to stand with Hamas, with Hezbollah, with Iran. Countries that hate Europe, that hate Christians, that hate democracy, that hate the God of Israel. This is really the last moment to return. After a certain point, there will be no return. And there will be a great conflict between two cultures. Thank you very much for your attention. I hoped you were able to find something interesting in today's episode. Of course, today is a very difficult day for Israel. We remember the great massacre that happened on October 7th. We should not forget those that are still kept captive by Hamas. We should not forget those that lost their life and those that fight for Israel's freedom, for Israel's right to exist. May God bless you. Thank you for all your support, the people that support me, the channel. You are wonderful. Thank you so much. May God bless you. And I wish you peace.